It finally happened. I saw auroras. Not in Norway, where I'd planned to see them back in 2020, before my trip was canceled by the pandemic. I didn't have to fly through the night across the Atlantic Ocean. I didn't have to spend thousands of dollars on plane tickets, hotels, or other accommodations. Amazingly, I didn't have to travel to the auroras. They came to me. The Northern Lights were visible in western New York, in a light show more brilliant than we've had in decades. It's not unheard of for the Northern Lights to appear in western New York, but it's rare, and the conditions have to be right for them to be visible. High enough on the KP index, no cloud coverage, adequate notice of their estimated time of arrival, so you can plan ahead for a late night of waiting for them to show. After a long week at work, when I was sitting down to eat dinner, my uncle texted me, saying that there was a chance that I could see them. So at around 10:30 that night, I decided to drive about an hour north to Lake Ontario to see if they would arrive. How could I not? One day after the students I worked with at Villa Maria College finished animating my short story, The Hunting of Tulaketu, thus completing it after 2 semesters of student contributions to it. 2 days after I started writing my Aurora book again. 3 days after a remarkable interview for this podcast. As soon as I made the decision to go north, the heaviness and the tiredness from the week evaporated. I was moving in my own way, doing something for me. As I drove toward Lake Ontario, I had this strong sense of knowing that they would be there. Lake Ontario has a special place in my heart. I lived next to the lake for 4 years during my time at SUNY Oswego, where I studied film and creative writing. I got to see it every single day, smell the particles in the air on my way to class, and visit it regularly. Sometimes alone, to read with my feet in the water, or sit and watch the cargo ships pass. Often with friends, to swim, or to have heartfelt talks, to while away in the evenings together on the rocky landscape, laughing under the stars. I loved those days. Lake Ontario was a constant in my life then, and I bonded closely with it. When I left, I knew I was leaving something I'd always miss. No matter when I return, it feels exactly how it felt when I left. The same was true of the night I saw the auroras. I felt a deep reverence for this great lake, this inland sea, where I first began dreaming up my aurora ideas all those years ago. Where I began to write stories about the Northern Lights and grappled with the allure and power that they radiated. Heading back to the lake last week, nearly 10 years after I graduated college and left it behind, I knew I was finally going to see the Northern Lights. I just knew it. At around 11:30, I found a boulder with a perfect view of the sky, the water, and the silhouetted skyline of Toronto in the distance. A dozen or so locals wandered off and on the lakeshore, there to try and see the show as well, but not too many of them stayed, and not for too long, as clouds were still covering the sky. But the reports looked promising. Just be patient, I told myself. Wait it out. They will come. And then, they did. They arrived. This is Jordan Bianchi. It's May 11th, and I'm at Lake Ontario right now. It's 1 a.m. I just drove an hour north to see the Northern Lights when a report came in that they were going to arrive, and they did. And they're incredible. This is the first time I'm seeing them, and it's just, they're getting brighter and brighter, and the clouds are clearing. It was pretty cloudy before, and I couldn't see the stars, but now they're really coming out. This is just so fantastic. I wanted to take a minute and reflect and share for you guys the experience of this actually happening. The aurora energy is just so palpable right now. Amazing. Currently, I am in a season of letting go, and I'm trying to understand what letting go really means. An important part of immersing ourselves with seasons of change is to take on the responsibility of redefining how we view concepts that we've held on to. So what does letting go mean for me right now? Do I need to move on from my stories, my projects, and step into a new chapter of my life where I do very different things? Or do I need to lean into these ideas while finding a way to not cling to them? Either way, the decisions have been hard, and I've struggled to decide which way to go because of the fears that are snarled with my beliefs. If I don't let go, will I miss something? And what would I miss? Living life? Experiencing joys and excitement that I could have only had if I had never picked up my enthusiasm in the first place? The more internal work that I do, the more I realize I don't need to question what I'm excited about. But all the years I've spent gaslighting myself to doubt the worth and success of the things that I'm interested in has had powerful echoes. For over 12 years, I've been wanting to see the Northern Lights. Back when I booked my trip to Norway to chase the auroras, I thought, as I reflected in the first episode of the podcast, that if I could just see the Northern Lights, they would send me some cosmic energy that would fix me. I thought that they would show me how to finish my book and give me all the answers I was seeking about how to get my life in order, how to not hurt anymore, how to not be a failure, how to wake up. I believed that they were the antidote to all of the blocks that I had. Over the past few years, as I've continued on my healing journey, I've realized that none of that was true. Seeing them over the very lake where I first dreamed of them helped me see how much I have grown and learned. They offered me a new perspective. Now, the Northern Lights are just like the stories and photographs we've all seen. Tall curtains of light that ripple ever so gently. It's hard to make out color with the naked eye, but with my camera, I was able to see the greens and the purples more clearly. As the cloud coverage parted even more, the spectacle grew. There were Northern Lights all across the sky. I walked down to the water, where it was darker. Now, before I started my healing journey 5 years ago, I thought that it was too late to begin, that I had missed too many life experiences, that I was too stuck in my dreams, that my aspirations were merely illusions, lies to keep me going, but to also keep me away from reality. Since then, I've learned that that's not the case. This is how redefining my perspective has helped. I've had strong spiritual guides in recent years who have given me many tools for bettering my life and healing my spirit. A healer can only give us the tools to do the work, though. We have to pick them up and use them to heal ourselves. This may seem daunting, but it is also an acceptance of how powerful we are. Through our awareness of who we are and where we want to be, we can change our reality. I didn't see the Northern Lights back then, but I did the healing that I needed to do in those periods of darkness, with only my imagination providing me guidance of where I could be. Imagination, after all, is the gateway to the higher self. When I finally saw the lights in the sky that night, I realized how much I had grown since my days in college thinking about life and stories by the lake. That young man is still within me, but there are many more layers now, and much has been healed within him. As the curtain swept across the sky and took on new forms, I felt whole and clear and calm. There was nowhere else to be. There was nowhere to get to. I had arrived at a new place of inner peace. Auroras form during a conversation of cosmic forces. When charged particles from the sun travel across space to our Earth, they're pushed to the poles, where they collide with atoms and molecules in the atmosphere. These collisions release energy, in the form of light. I feel the same happens when we release the energy within us. We in the cosmos are no different. The interconnectedness of our internal energy and the outside world is an imperative realization. We are meant to radiate our life energy, created through the union of ideas, and allow it to connect with others in a burst of never-before-seen manifestations of light. An aurora isn't formed by the sun, our star, holding onto its energy. They exist because their energy is let go. The only reason we get to experience their radiance is because the potential energy within was set free. So letting go is not an act of farewell. It's the act of allowing ourselves to see what powerful energies we've been given and give them back to the world from where they came. One of the great illusions is the idea of separation. We are connected to the aurora. We originate from the same source. As Alan Watts said, through our eyes, the universe is perceiving itself. Through our ears, the universe is listening to its harmonies. We are the witnesses through which the universe becomes conscious of its glory, of its magnificence. We are gifted the experience of sharing and connecting with this universe, and that's why it feels so good to do so. The shifting of the shape of the auroras helped me see that life is a collection of moments. The illusion of light that we normally see, daylight, our phones, the lamps in our houses, seem to be one thing, but they are actually constant streams of energy, again and again projecting toward us. In all the forms that they can take, the auroras showed me the power of the moment. They take forms that have never existed before. No two are ever the same as their moments in our lives. And in my awe, I could see that I had no control over the moment. They swirled the way they were going to swirl. They were rays, veils, curtains. The illusion of control that we humans desire to have seems to be a never-ending quest, when light is already all around us. It made me realize how much more comfortable I have become in my own skin over the past few years. My light isn't pushed around by shadows, made restless like it used to be. I could feel the gentleness that is within me now. I've struggled with loneliness for years, but this moment reinforced that I had found myself in the process. I had traveled to the lake on my own, for myself, to have this experience by myself. And I was present. These are huge achievements for me. As a friend of mine said, my dream came to me with impeccable timing, as the universe always manages to do. It is not always when we want things, but it is when the timing supports our journey. By not seeing the auroras all those years ago, I learned the power of my imagination. I understood the importance of creativity and understanding that, yes, we can be looking for sources of inspiration to guide us on our healing quest, but the metamorphosis healing can offer must be initiated by ourselves, not some external source. I can now see the importance of showing up when timing whispers within, you can do this. Paulo Coelho wrote in The Alchemist, when you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you achieve it. I suspect other dreams will arrive at the precise moment they need to. Synchronicities will unfold to help me see the way to them. But in the meantime, what can I do to help them arrive? I can remember that the inner work will never be finished. But each step I take toward emanating my own aurora energy brings me closer to me. What a beautiful gift. As I drove home that night, the auroras swept across farm fields. I felt connected to those lights, the sky above, their source, our star, and what lay beyond. I felt connected to it all. It didn't feel like there was some greater power in the universe. I felt that the universe is great, and we are a part of it, in its enormity and its intimate nature. We are one entity, and in our human forms, we are interacting with all that is, and all there ever was, and will ever be, in a special way, as the particles get to show their excitement as celestial emanations. The night sky is filled with stories of the universe for those who are searching for meaning. To me, the auroras offer us a bridge through the darkness of isolation to help us understand that we are never alone. They are the epitome of what we can aspire to become, just like them, beings of the stars. Because of the power of my imagination, reinforced by my healing, I can trust that while I may never know if all of this is true, it feels true, and that is enough. I can see that I can be gentle with myself on my journey, as gentle as the auroras that dance across the sky. Thank you for listening to this episode of Aurora Airwaves. I'm so grateful to have you here as the auroras take us on a journey through the night sky. Stay tuned. Who knows where they'll go next and what healing they'll bring us. Please stay in touch. Remember to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow the show on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Please leave us a review, give us some likes, and let us know what you think of these episodes. We'll be in touch soon. Thanks again for listening.